Hi everyone, it's Dennis Yusuf here from Inspired Growth Training, and we are here for the BDM Coach podcast show today. We've got Nathan Andrew with us, all the way from Brisbane. Nathan, thanks for coming on board, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what's the weather like in Brisbane before we start? Like I'm at about 25, but I feel like it dropped to about 18.
It would be about 28 with about 80% humidity. Looks like it's going to
Wow.
storm. So we're getting into that summer season. So hot, stinky hot days followed by some rain in a cool afternoon. So
It's interesting. I did a recording earlier and it was gorgeous and sunny, and I'd finished like 40 minutes later, and then the coolness hit.
yeah.
There's a big southerly coming through. Nathan, mate, you've been around the IGT circles for a little bit of time now, and it's great having you on board with us. But before we get stuck into things, there's a really important question that we have to ask first.
Yep.
I need to know if I'm going to end this recording now or we're going to keep it going. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay. You're on board. You're on board. You can't stay. Now, we recently just spent some time together at the PM Lead Machine event in Brisbane, and I can't recall if we shared an espresso martini or not. Now, don't tell me, because if I can't remember, it means we have to catch up and create a memory.
Definitely didn't, Dennis. No.
We definitely didn't. So fill us in, Nathan. Who are you? Where do you work? What's your position, etc.? I'll let you lead the way. This podcast is all yours, so you can influence people.
Perfect. Where do I start? 18 years in the industry last month. So came out of school, had a couple of jobs. I managed an IGA store for a guy, and then I'm like, I don't want to do this forever. I tried to do construction, realized being outside all the time on tools probably wasn't for me. And then stumbled into real estate. I had grand ideas of doing the flashy commercial stuff and all that, and residential rentals got me into the door, and here I am 18 years later still doing it and loving it every day.
So the flashy suits and that caught your attention?
18 years ago, yeah. It was the flashy cars and the big paychecks. So
as you're sitting across from me in a polo shirt.
Things change. Polos are comfy.
Just so anyone else is listening, I'm also in a polo shirt. So there's nothing wrong with polo shirts.
No, there's nothing wrong with polo shirts, and there's nothing wrong with suits. They all got their time and place.
That's it. And each person's market's different. Like a polo shirt and a pair of jeans is dressing up for some people, right?
Some people's dressing up is rolling up and showing their ankles. That's definitely not mine.
Yeah. So what's your position in the business, Nathan?
At the moment, I'm very fortunate where I am here at Clark. I've been able to buy in on the business. So I guess I am a business owner. I also head up the property management department we got here. And currently I'm also BDM. So got my fingers in all the little pies at the moment.
And you've done some amazing numbers, which we'll talk about in a little while. What is it about? So, you're heading things up, and you're very heavy on training for the team as well.
Yeah.
Obviously I've been getting the emails when a new person's going into a different position or, so forth, so they can be registered into our masterminds, depending which one there is, or an event, which is great. You're the BDM as well. What's your favorite position within the real estate sector? What do you love? What is it? What's your buzz about it? What do you love most?
Look, being back in the BDM position, I'm actually really loving that again at the moment. So when I first started here at Clark, or in my previous roles prior to coming to Clark, I'd stepped away from BDM work, and it was more as the senior property manager or a pseudo team leader. So, getting down to the nitty gritty every day, which was enjoyable at the time, but being able to go out and meet people again, talk to people, help their goals. I've been helping a lady who just called me about right before we started. She's been trying to sort out her dad's property. She's been over from England. we've been talking backwards and forwards for about 8 months now, and I'm going out next week to finally list the property and get it live for us. So stuff like that, actually getting to help people and, you know, helping them realize their goals with their properties. That's been the big change for me is, you know, I've come in the last couple of years with you guys and all that has helped. Definitely the going to Thailand this year really kicked it up for me. I've finally realized and have the confidence in myself that I know I am the best in my area. And when I go out and speak to people now, I think that's actually articulated and they know and are comfortable to come with me.
So we'll get onto the Phuket stuff and your confidence because they are two key areas. But I want to go back to this lady from England because, you know, in experience, like I've been training people for over 11 years in the BDM position now, and I've seen a lot of times where there's someone out of area they're talking to and they think they've got the trust of the client. You know, because most of the time when they come in, let's say they drive interstate or they fly in or they, you know, come from another country in your situation, a lot of the times they think, you know what, while I'm here, I'm what other agents are offering. But this lady has flown from London or from England and she's still like wants to use you. What do you think that you brought to the table that kept her just to stick with you and not look anywhere else?
Look, I think it was trust. You know, I didn't go out there with the mindset of I need to list your property today or anything. I just went out there going, this lady needs help. Like she's just had to move her dad into a nursing home. She didn't know what the legislations were. She had different trades telling her she had to do different things. She was just getting mixed messages and she just wanted someone to talk to and get a bit of guidance. So I was able to give her that guidance and then slowly just keep drip feeding her information about what was happening in the area or passing on trades and that, you know, something that, hey, it might not have come back to me. And at the end of the day, I would have been fine with that. But, you know, I've been able to help her and I will help her next week and then we'll secure a great tenant and it'll be one less thing she'll have to worry about. She'll be able to spend more time with her dad when she comes out and visits instead of worrying about this property and what to do and has it got the right person or something in it.
Love it. So you strive to continue to add value to the potential client and you weren't quick in saying, hey, we've got a sign here for us to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah. I feel that there's a lot of people out there, they get it drilled in that I need listings. I need to list today. I need to list today. And then we call it listing breath in our office. So there's a lot of, you get it a lot more in sales and that's where it sort of has come from. And it's, you know, they're commission based and they get listing breath. They just will do and say anything to get a listing straight away, whether it's in the client's best interest or not. So, you know, I guess ethics, I guess a bit, you know.
Look, it's totally, I think that you've hit the hammer on the nail there. You know, ethics does play a key part into this, but relationships are built over time. They're not, you don't expect to get that relationship to have that rapport built straight away. Relationships are built over time.
And that's that best advice. And that's the advice I give to anyone, whether in my office or new BDMs that are coming on. It's not instant. What you'll do now, you know, you've got to build that relationship up. Talking to them that first time, giving them, you know, doing your social media stuff, doing all this. It's stuff that builds up, and with time and time and time, you'll build that trust. So I'm lucky and fortunate. I've been doing this a long time that I know a lot of people that I've built that trust up with, and you know, they're my raving fans out there, and I get a lot of referral business that way as well. So, but 18 years in the industry is a long time. So
yeah, it is. And let's just drive that home. You brought up social media. So and social media is a prime example of what you do today gives you results for tomorrow. Prospecting today gives you results for tomorrow. It doesn't happen over time. You brought up Phuket. Okay, before we dig in and we talk about us brainstorming while we're in 28 and 30 degree water watching the sunsets, because that's the style of training that we do at IGT. What training had you done? What training have you done for real estate, whether it's self-development or within the real estate industry?
Look, to be honest, for the first 15 years of me being in the industry, I probably did no training or really received any training in the roles I was in. The first best example I had is when I first started in real estate, I got thrown in there. The senior property manager went away on annual leave for a month in my second month of being a property manager. And I got given the whole portfolio and it was sink or swim. So a lot of the stuff had previously been self-taught. I'm very lucky in my role now and here at Clark that Mario, one of the other owners, is very invested in training. And I've been lucky enough to give a very sales-based version of training that I've been able to turn into rental style training. So, you know, how to prospect, how to list, you know, even from a personal development, have goals in place. And, you know, how does my actions today help me get closer to my personal goal, my health goal, my family goal, or a financial goal? Being able to really lock into that. And then just, I've started to read. So, you know, I went on a bit of a journey myself, I guess you could say. I lost 20 kilos, you know, I started eating better. I'm the fittest I've ever been in my life. And that's now my work and my work levels, everything at the highest I've ever been. I don't really get stressed anymore. I used to get stressed a lot. So I think it's very important that people got to remember that it's, you know, we work a lot, especially in this industry. We're working long hours, sometimes days. You need to look after yourself, because the more you look after yourself and develop yourself, I think your better your work results are going to come.
Yeah, totally. And some really sound tips and help you've given there, because, you know, exercising, mental health, you know, staying focused, you know, losing the weight, you know, all of those things do, you know, contribute to, you know, having that focus to be able to handle the property management. And you're also talking about reading books as well. And I think that's, you know, that's it adds to that continued development. And I'm sure that you've read the PM Lead Secrets book and the, you know, PM
Read them all.
So confidence is it's a key factor to, you know, being able to go out there and list those properties and having the confidence to walk in the door knowing that you're the best. You mentioned that, you know, you attended Phuket and you came away with confidence. What is it about the training that you caught at Phuket? Because the great thing about the IGT leadership training that we do, it's not just about us as trainers, but it's about the people that we're bringing in to that training as well. So why, fill us in on that?
Well, look, going back on that training, I think a big help of it was, I think it was one of the afternoons that we were in the ocean just chilling around, and I was bobbing around with Michael and all that, and I knew what we were talking about. And he put the words into my head. He goes, "You are the best in your area. You just need to believe it." And maybe up until that time, I didn't believe it. And it was just that one little casual conversation that put it into my head. Or it's the spending times with Regan and Mel and talking, when you bounce off the ears and you give them an idea and you're like, that's a fantastic idea. And it's just getting that confidence and having those connections, because it is very, and IGT is a lot different. We're very open, which is great. And it's great to be able to bounce ideas off each other. But before IGT, or before I was at Clark, it was very, how dare you talk to anyone up the road or anyone interstate? They're all our competitors. So it's the family in a way, you know. You got your family at home, you got your family in the office, but it's another family. It's that family you can bounce ideas off, you know. I had Shelby message me earlier. I'm going to do a phone call with her after this and talk to her about commercial, because she's had something come to her. So it's those little connections that you can have. And I think it's just all
I got the same message from Shelby. I had you in a post in the IGT Inner Circle the other day about commercial, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things. And that's the great thing about the community. Look, you know, sales agents, it's interesting because us property managers, when we're in property management, we're so built on building relationships. When we lose a listing to another agent or to someone, we do take it personally. But it's really important. What we're doing at IGT is we're bringing all of you people together that want to grow, that want to be the best in your area. So it's like I'm putting a group of footballers that support the same team together at a bar. And we're just going talk about our football team. But in this case, we're actually sharing ideas of growth. Oh, Dennis said do this. Michael said do this. Darren said do this. Oh, I tried that, and then they go on and But you guys are what make IGT what it is. So congratulations for it. Now you came back from Phuket and absolutely kicked goals. So Michael gave you that feedback. He encouraged you to go forth. You are the best. And why don't you share with everyone what happened?
I did my best ever result in my 18 years. So 47 new management signed up for the month. So yeah, huge result. Going to try to mimic it and do it again. But
you've got this. You've certainly got this. So Nathan, what are some of the struggles that you're finding, in whether it's being the BDM, the business owner, or in real estate at the moment?
Look, I find that, there are a lot more owners. Like if you go from a property management side of it, owners are a little bit more strapped for cash at the moment. The interest rates have gone back up. They may not want to spend as much on that. So it's trying to balance their expectations with what needs to be done for the property and all that. In our area, there has been some investor purchasing, but it's still down. A lot of the stock that investors used to purchase is going to a lot of first home buyers, which is great. We've got a lot of units around us, but that price point, it's a lot of first homeowners buying it. So we had a flood out of all the owners that probably brought it the wrong time of the market. And in the last 12 to 18 months, we're able to sell. So it's just trying to replenish that stock and keep growing. It's just that everyday grind of making sure I bring enough on to cover natural loss and keep growing the business. So
how are you educating owners through these times when, obviously, your costs are going up as well, their costs are going up. So what are you doing to educate your owners so they don't fall into a panic?
It's the thing I tell my team all the time. It's picking up the phone and having a chat to them. It's not sending a maintenance request by email or something. It's pick up the phone, have a chat to them. This is what we noted at the routine inspection, or this is what the tenant. This is what you could do. We can monitor it, or hey, you probably need to get this done. Let's do this or do that. Giving them options and just letting them be heard. Another big thing is we do a lot of no reason calls to our owners. So they're not scared to pick up the phone. I think you mentioned that a few weeks ago. You used to get the heebie-jeebies when you see your real estate pop up there going, what's wrong with my property? I know that there's a lot of owners that, because I don't speak to them too often, that they see my name pop up and they go, oh, Nathan, what is wrong with the property? It's like, I'm just checking in on you, actually. How are you? So that, that's a good thing. And then, I'm looking at and coming up, and I've taken a couple ideas, and Ash posted something great the other day, but I want to do a yearly check-in call with all my owners and saying, well, what is your financial plan for the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years? It's something I sit down and do with all my new clients I onboard as part of my listing presentation, but it's something I haven't really touched on with some of my current clients. So that's something I'm going to be implementing going forward too.
So you're talking about the session that Michael and I did. On giving the yearly calls. And we went through 20-something examples of giving them calls. But it sounds like you guys are already doing that, for you, helping your clients so they don't become so, stressed about, the cost of living going up. You're being proactive. You're jumping on the phone, you're making those phone calls, especially if maintenance comes up or a routine inspection, and your team is giving advice on some of the options that they could do rather than being reactive to maintenance that's coming up. Great thing is that was actually covered in our IGT PM Mastermind last week. So
told you the team enjoyed it last week.
They did. So that's good. It was a great session, and you're one of our IGT masterminders as well. Today's session on YouTube, right? It's mind-boggling the things.
My head still hurts after that session. I think I've heard Michael's spoken to me about YouTube plenty of times, and I'm still, every time he does, I'm like, this is new. Like I'm trying to get what you taught me before, and now you throw this in.
Well, lucky it's recorded, and you guys will have access to that as well. Because and then I thought I'd just dig in a little bit deeper and start talking about the tags and I didn't even bring up hashtags. So
No, tags are enough.
what I like is you have been in the industry for a long time, but you're doing that continued development still. So you still are jumping in there and doing it. And it looks like that you're getting over those challenges, which is great. So what would be your biggest learning curve as a real estate agent?
Biggest learning curve. I think, look, I've always done it. So I don't know if it was a learning curve. I mean, I've always been a big believer of picking up the phone. When I started 18 years ago, it was the phone. Email was there, but it was still, people didn't rely on emails for communication as they do these days. So it's, I make sure I save all the owner's details and they're a name, not a number. That's one of my big things and something I preach to the team. Around where we are, there are a lot of larger agencies where when I speak to those owners about them possibly moving over to me because they're not happy, it's communication. They feel like a number. They don't, they speak to that person. They don't know what their property is or where their property is. I've got a great memory that I can have an owner call me up and she actually brought her property over to me again. She goes, "Oh, hi, Nathan, it's Anne Elliott. Do you remember who I am?" "Oh, of course, Anne, your property is at this address. You brought it from this agent about 12 to 13 years ago. Your memory serves me right." And she goes, "How do you remember all that?" So, I'd make sure I remember those things about the owners. Do they have a kid that's at school? You speak to them, they have a dog that might be sick. I make sure I remember that or write it down. So you can't remember everything in your head. And they're the touch points I have. And I think having those touch points just builds on that trust. And it's having that trust. I'm already an expert in property management. So then I'm building a trust set outside of that when the two merge. Hey, I trust Nathan. He remembers all this personal stuff about me. And I know that he's the expert in the industry. They have no qualms and then referring me on to their family and friends or, bringing their property back to me or giving me another property when they have one come up.
So your learning curve is taking notes of personal things, remembering, whether it's those little, the name of the dogs or the kids, the birthdays, etc. And a good contact management system will assist you in that as well. For the notes. I keep people's names. So let's say I met you at a conference in New Zealand. I would have you in my phone as Nathan. I wouldn't have your surname. I would have Nathan. I would have the office and the conference where we met.
Yeah.
Right. And then that would change in accordance to my memory of you. Right. So then if we met again at another event and then I learned something special, I would have in the company name Likes Espresso Martinis.
Nathan, Thailand. Good man.
Some things they've got to be kept off podcasts. What
Exactly.
I have, but that's awesome. So, what would you believe is the best thing that's working for you right now in the growth of the business, Nathan?
Look, really dialing in on our pre-listing email. I'm still developing it. Every month I'm changing something in there, but I took away a lot of having the points of difference in there. We embedded a video into it. I'm about to embed another video to it. I've really stepped it up and hyperlinked to, copies of our reports and a video on how to use, why we use Tarpy and all that. And I've found that since I keep dialing this in, when I go to a listing presentation and I know that they've opened it, they've already answered so many of their questions that I'm not getting hit, and I can do my spiel and I'm going through the Form 6 or the management agreement with them. And we haven't even discussed fees until we get to the last page. And then when we get to that page, they're not questioning anything. It's you got package 1 or package 2. Which one would you like?
Music to my ears, because a lot of agents are so quick to run in and book an appointment to sign up, that you're building a relationship by sending them the pre-listing email, gaining that trust with them. So it turns into, where do I sign versus what are your fees? And well done. I love that. Another a story of somebody having great success with that pre-listing email. Now, I've got another question for you. This one, another one that I haven't told you about. Obviously, you're part of the IGT mastermind that we do, where we set you a video to watch, and then the next week we talk about the video with agents from Australia, New Zealand, all over Australia, US as well. Good old Richard from Orlando. Hello, when you're listening to this one. Thank you for being part of our IGT mastermind. Now, Dennis has just jumped on a plane because he's got to go to London and he's got to do some training. Darren is doing his PM fee maximization training, and Michael's on the aeroplane with me. Okay, he's probably in business class while I'm in the back of economy.
Yeah.
I need you to run one of the masterminds. Okay, what do you feel, what value you could add to other agents that are wanting to grow their business? What would you have your topic on?
I think I'd really knuckle mine down on goals. Having goals, and not just goals within your business, not a goal of bringing on X amount of properties per year or something. It's breaking those goals down, and that's okay. Well, why do I want these goals? So, yes, I got goals of growing the business to numbers, because that means, more money in that, but it also means I can pay my staff more, or I can put more staff on. From BDM level, I want to bring on X amount of properties per month, because then that means that I'll be able to go onto a family holiday, or do this or something next year, or buy this in some kind of time, Continue on the health one. It's like, well, I've lost that weight, but what's next in those health goals? How do I keep developing my body and my mind so I can keep doing this and having the energy levels to do this? It really would be just breaking down those goals and explaining to people that you need to be able to have a vision of your goals. You need to be able to, I want to be in this house, in this white couch, looking out over this, drinking this espresso martini, and being able to taste what that espresso martini tastes like. Like, that's how deep you need to go in your goals. And,
I like that. I really do, because a goal on numbers is different for everyone. I've had plenty of conversations with people. Look, I know that you may feel threatened that other people are listing 15, 20, 30 properties, 40 properties, right, a month. You listing 5 a month, it could be, that's a high value goal for you, but it's not necessarily about the numbers that you're listing. It could be a goal about, I want to have confidence to do video. I want to have confidence to, go into an owner's house and know that I'm the best because I'm an introvert, or whatever the case. So I think that's a great topic. Well done. I think that's a really good topic to be able to have a discussion on. So
I'll wait for my call up then.
Wait for the call up. There's been some good tips on this, I've got to say, when I've been asking people, So how do you overcome those fee-focused owners? So because we all know that there's some cultures, and I'm part of the cultures. I'm a WOG. If you're in Australia, you understand what a WOG is. It's a foreigner from that country. And we're trained to ask for a discount on everything, right? So how do you overcome a fee-focused owner?
Look, there's always going to be those fee-focused owners that are purely about the fees, and we've just come to a realization as a business, they're not for us. So straight off the bat, if they purely don't want to have the time to do a Zoom or an in-person, they just purely want their fees, they're probably not the person for us straight off the bat there. And, we don't give them too much or any time. We're giving time to people that want to know about us, want to come to us for a reason, want to have this chat with us so we can show them our value. So
you're working on those, you developing the warm leads coming in. So
yeah. So you're not getting those fee ones asked. And then if you do, it's then a business decision, but we're not dropping our fees. We've got goals, what we want to hit in that. It might be a Darren Hunter special when, look, if you were to sign with us today, I'll knock advertising off for the first time, or I'll put in a free 360 tour or something, dependent on the package they kind of went with. But I'm not there dropping my pants or my fees.
Well done. Now that leads to the next question, your point of difference, right? So you just brought up the 360 virtual tours. Are you doing, what are some of the other key points of differences that you have?
We really knuckled down and got some differences of what competitors were doing in our area. So, one of our points of difference is the quality of the reports that we're doing. And we've been able to back that up with evidence that in the months from January to June, Rebecca, who does all my entries and vacates, did 62 vacates. Of those 62 vacates, only one ended up at dispute resolution. So
Wow.
the quality of our reports are a benefit to our owners because bonds aren't getting held up in dispute resolution. It's a benefit to my staff at the same time because they're not dealing with as many disputes because they're doing such great quality reports. You know, we use the 360 in our marketing. You know, that breaks it down to that we rent properties 6 days faster than our competitors. So we're saving owners nearly a week's worth of rent straight just by coming with us. You know, our big one in this area is that we're all based in office in Australia. That's a big point of difference in our area, and that's something that a lot of owners value to come over to us because they might be at those larger agencies where there are a number, not a name, and you know they just feel that there's a disconnect from that. So, not saying that's bad on part of having VAs or anything, but maybe those officers need to look at how they do it because a lot of the feedback that we get is communication, and it comes down to calling and all that, and they don't get that.
You know your points of difference as well, Nathan. So, you know.
I didn't. Michael hit me in Thailand, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's a common question we ask people. You know, it's really interesting because if I was a potential landlord, I would be straight up asking, why should I choose you over the rivals? And if they're going to give me because we're boutique or we're, you know, zero tolerance on rent arrears, that's not point of difference. And they're things that you haven't brought up. You brought up 360 tours. You mentioned Tarpy. So you guys have got a concierge maintenance system. You got 360 virtual video as well as the tour. You're reporting. You gave me some stats on 6 days, extra income into an owner's pocket. And you also brought up a stat on 1 in 62, was it? Disputes. That is brilliant because, you know, owners are concerned about their properties being trashed.
Yeah, look, it's coming down to taking the time when you're either in person with them or on the phone or in a Zoom and find out what their pain points are, because not every landlord's going to have the same pain points. And then once you know what their pain points or their worries are, you can move your points of difference into them and show them how, well, if you are doing it like we are, what your points of difference are, and this is how you alleviate it. Then you're not going to get the worries of, well, fees or anything. You've built up that trust with them from the start by showing them and not telling them. So, you know, making sure you take whatever you take and show them the quality of your reports, or show them the numbers, show them the statistics from realestate.com. You know, that's a big learning curve. Is over the years, I was probably good at telling, but I was never good at showing. So, you know, I come in now, I've upgraded to an iPad, and I'll sit there and we'll go through reports. It'll be reports that my team have done that day, where they've gone and done a routine and had sent it off to the owner from outside of the property. I'm able to show that to new clients.
Wow, that's awesome. Nathan, sounds like you've had some amazing training. And, you know, your team seem to have been like really knuckling down on doing the reports well, which is giving you some great stats. It's giving you leverage, and you believe you can, so you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Right. And it definitely sounds like it's been passed on to your team as well. So huge congratulations for doing that. Now, I've got to ask the question, what are you implementing from our PM lead machine event that we had just carried out? What's that takeaway that you could then share to everyone that's listening in here? So it's almost like a question of me saying, if you're starting your business from scratch today, what would you put in place now?
It would be Regan's chat on the investor support services. So he really broke that down and, you know, provided all that information. That's been great. Had chats with him after as well. You know, okay, I've understood it, I've heard it before, but he really broke it down. And it's like, this is how you do it. That's what his whole thing was. He gave everyone from start to finish. So I can't see how anyone can't walk away from that event and not be doing that.
Yeah.
So take yours away. You gave everyone a social media calendar for a whole year.
Yep.
Any of the events that day, you talk about Ashes and LinkedIn, like, you know, she told everyone how to do the LinkedIn, what you need to be doing. I've sat there every day afterwards, hitting my limit, and like LinkedIn's going, no more, Nathan, no more. So
You know, it's really interesting. I didn't realize how many people I wasn't connected with because I'm getting all these invites all of a sudden. Yeah, and look, one of the key things is we're always wanting to do the how-tos. You know, so how-tos. Actually, we want you to turn up and actually put things in place because you're then going to want to keep coming back for more. And Nathan, you're doing that with your owners. You're turning your customers into BDMs for your business. You know, and I think it's brilliant. So thank you so much, you know, for your time. It's been awesome catching up. And I know that you're going to be at our next event, including our next leadership event, which I cannot wait for, which is in Boracay.
I know, I'm excited for that one. I've always wanted to go. So great
Look,
excuse to come along.
I'll be in Boracay in a few weeks, and I am going to do so many videos and create the fear of missing out that people are going to want to come just for the island, not the training.
That's all right. I've been talking about it at the last event. People got the fear of missing out on next year anyway. So it's like, hurry up and book. Link here. There you go. Put the link there. Book here.
Look, and it's limited seats. We're crunching down numbers. We like them being really strong, good, intimate events.
That's one of the advantage of it. It's sitting there and sounding out, hey, this is what I do. What do you guys do? What can I change? What do you think? You know, that was a fantastic takeaway from it.
Awesome. Excellent. Nathan, Andrew, thank you so much. Where's the best spot for people to reach out if they've got questions and they want to learn more from you? Where can they go?
Oh, you can, I'm working on my social media. So, you know, I'm on Instagram, the Brisbane Property Manager, because I am the Brisbane Property Manager. Same one on TikTok. Otherwise, you can give me a call or an email anytime, guys. I'm more than happy to help you out.
Now, be sure to put because you're going to, if you look up the other person, that's Shelby, who we brought up in the meeting. And Shelby, she's also one of our IGT masterminders, and we've done a recording with her as well. So don't get the two mistaken. Okay, it's the. Thanks very much, buddy. It was awesome having you on. And look, be sure to jump into the IGT Inner Circle and watch the video. We are visual learners. And if not, keep downloading those Podbeans, iTunes, and Spotify's. Thanks very much, Nathan, Andrew. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks. See ya.